5. Wait a couple minutes. Pop in. People pop in. All right. So today we're going to be working with create block, the create block package. Search up there. I just need to say we're at WordPress/create block. This is a great little package that people use to scaffold blocks. And what it'll do is create a little plugin for you with a single block in it. One thing that has come up a lot is people hoping to have a single block that contains multiple, a single plugin that contains multiple blocks in it. So that's what we're going to try to do today. We're going to use this sort of the standard template that comes with it, and we're going to customize some things and make some things work, hopefully the way we want it to. Cool. So I think what we'll do, oh, thanks for joining. Whoever just joined, welcome. Yeah, so I think what we'll do is we'll just get started. So I do this every time, but I'm using, just want to show you what I have set up. I'm using local by Flywheel just to spin up a Gutenberg Playground site that I'm using. I'm just using standard WordPress. There's no, these are the plugins that are installed. They don't have the Gutenberg plugin installed, so that's something to note. So this is just WordPress core 5.8.1. I'm using, I have a workspace set up. There's a repository associated with this, which I should probably just show you. I'll grab it. And it has all of the code for this. I'll drop it in the chat if anyone is interested. Right in there. So this is the repository. Sorry, yeah, I'm realizing you can't see it. So it's on my GitHub account. It's all public. And so every stream will have its own branch. That branch then gets merged into master. Trunk. And then I just do a quick little synopsis of the stuff that we talked about in that particular stream. Cool. So that's it. So let's we'll keep moving right along here. So what I want to do is in my repository, I have a plugins directory. I'm going to create a new plugin in there and we're going to use the create blocks template, and we're going to see if we can get it to work with multiple blocks. So let's take a look at the documentation right here. Well, the documentation is in a few places. There's actually a tutorial, a block tutorial, which is available in the handbook, so you can use it. There is a sort of an overview of the package itself in the handbook, so you can use it as well, or you can go directly to the source in the Gutenberg repository. Hey, Florida Coder Man, welcome. Yeah, so what we're going to do is you really just need to do this command here. So we're going to do that. So this command leverages npx, which if you're familiar with npm, it's kind of like a flavor of an npm. I'm sure I'm probably explaining it wrong, but basically, if you do an npx install, you're going to add it to the project. If you just run npx, it doesn't add it to the project. It actually will just download it temporarily, run it, and then it goes away. So I'm going to create a new block by just running npx WordPress create block. It's going to run in sort of interactive mode. So you can see what it's doing. It's downloading a bunch of stuff here. Bump up the font size on that so old people like me can see it. Right. So now it's running in interactive mode. So it's asking me a bunch of questions. So I'm going to call this multiple blocks. That's going to be the name of the plugin that we're using and the block. So there's a bit of a thing here, but we'll get into that. And we need a namespace. I'm going to call it Twitch streams. And then I'm just going to call this first block. And then this is the first block. Yay. And I'm just gonna go with the default. So there's you can put in an icon, you can put in the category. I'm gonna put it in design. The author name, I'm just going to leave it all default just so you don't have to watch me type out all the stuff. And so what it's going to do is it's going to scaffold out a block. It's going to this thing behind the scenes there is very distracting. So it's downloading the things. It's putting in the dependencies. It's actually installing all of the dependencies, and after a couple of seconds here or minutes or whatever, it'll actually do a build for us as well. So we'll have a fully functional block that just works. Once this finishes, once this is done, I will show you the code. So question, if anyone watching, if you have used create blocks before, do you have any custom templates? I'd love to see them, because that's something that you can actually do. You can actually pass a template to it. So for example, there's a template flag. So there's a couple of templates that I think are built now. There's ES5 and ES Next. But there's also, you can use custom templates that they need to be posted. They need to be hosted on NPM. But we'll get into that in a bit. But if you have a way that you like to build things, you can build out a template. You can publish it on NPM, npmjs.com, and then you can actually access it for all of your projects. But we'll get into that in a minute. Oh, that's really taking a long time. Okay, so it's installed the dependencies. Now it's installing the package, and this again might take a couple of minutes. So if anyone knows any good jokes, please drop them in the stream chat while we wait. So there are a bunch of other parameters that this package can take as well. So when you run the command line, you can pass a bunch of stuff here, which is really cool. You can pass the namespace, the title, the short description, category, all that stuff. These three are pretty interesting because you can actually tell it, I don't want you to integrate with scripts, or I don't want you to integrate with the WP-ENV package. Like say if you wanted to have a plugin, like the ENV package is like the environment package. You can spin up your own like WordPress instance with it. So if you wanted to have a plugin that did that, you could do it with it. Really neat. If we have time and we get into it, you can actually customize that as part of your custom templates. So if you wanted to, pass defaults to your custom templates, you can do it that way as well, which is super neat. Okay, cool. So this is built. Everything looks good. It tells you what all the commands that we have available, but let's look at the actual code here. So if we look over here, my multiple blocks, you can see we've got all of this good stuff here. Just zoom that in a bit so people can see it. So we've got, it's given us an editor config file, which is nice because it's, keeping our standards in place. We got a get ignore, we got a block.json. So this is the block.json for this particular block. The create blocks package was designed in such a way to promote single block per plugin. So that block can be shared to the block directory. So people can share this and download it right in the editor. It's not a use case that everyone needs, and so there's been a real, a lot of questions have come up about how do I do multiple blocks inside of the single thing. So I don't want to have a plugin for each block. I'm building for a client. We've got 10 blocks. I don't want to have 10 plugins. And so actually there's been a lot of discussion about that in core that I've seen, and I think the consensus is that we're going to the royal we, all of us are going to work towards having this package support that. It's not in place now. So what we need to do is kind of like make that happen manually, which is the point of this stream. So anyway, so this is our block.json. This is the entry point, like the PHP file for the plugin itself. And then we've got a README file that explains what the plugin does and all that fun stuff. Then we have our package.json. So you can see we've got the dependencies in place down here that we need. This template has these dependencies added. These dependencies don't actually get bundled because as part of the WordPress scripts package, there is a webpack plugin called the dependency extraction plugin. I highly recommend you take a look at it if you've not seen it before. But long story short, what this thing does is it takes any references to an import that imports from @ WordPress / whatever. and a couple of other ones. I think Lodash is one. I think Moment is one. There's a few. It's listed in the docs for the package. But what this does is it converts an import into a reference to the WP global. So in WordPress admin, if we just look at the WordPress admin for a post here, we can see that, I don't know, let me zoom that in, there we go. So if we just clear this out, you can see that there's a WP global that's available, and then so every package is added to that global. So the global that we were looking at here was what, blocks? So it ends up being, it gets translated roughly into whatever at WordPress is slash. So everything after the slash is what the name is. So this will be blocks, right? So we have blocks in there. So you can see that the register block type, which I think is the function, register block type is in there. So what this gets converted into is not that, but something like this. That's kind of what it gets converted into behind the scenes if you're looking your build. I'll look in the build, but the build is pretty much, because we did a build. So it's very, right there. So e.win.wp.blocks. So that's what E is going to be. It's sort of obfuscated and minified and all sorts of fun stuff. So you just take my word for it. That's what it's doing, but that is what's happening there. Cool. So anyway, so that is the dependency extraction plugin, and I totally forget why we were talking about that. Oh, right, because the block package.json. So these don't actually increase your bundle size. That's where I was going with this. So when you build with Webpack, it would normally take this. It would maybe tree shake out some of the things, but you would get, like, for every function that you bring in, your bundle size, your JavaScript bundle, at the end of the day, the build file gets bigger and bigger and bigger. This doesn't happen. So you could literally add every single at WordPress package in here, and it wouldn't affect the size of your bundle. So this is done mostly for, like, code hinting and IntelliSense and stuff. That's something to think about. I never added those ever when I was working on blocks, because I didn't think I needed them, because why would I need them? They're not being used, but it does definitely help your IDE out. So anyways, that's why they're there. Cool. Right, so then we've got our node module, straightforward, and then we've got our build file. So you see we've got our index.asset.php, which is also a file that's emitted by that Webpack plugin that I was telling you about. So part of doing the transpiling from the import to the const statement is that it actually adds entries in here for everything that you're using, so we don't need to worry about updating your views, which is for super duper. And Hamdi's not a word. Okay, I'm gonna zoom out a bit. Can I just go back to, let's see, appearance, reset zoom. There we go. That's much. All right, we're gonna go with that one, I think. Let me know if it's too small. Go back one. Let me know if that's too small. Probably good. Cool. So let's see what this does now. So we'll go back into here. We'll go into our plugins. So we'll leave the site, and you can see that we've got first block. So the way that this was named is it named the plugin after the name of the block that we created. So we're gonna activate that. And we're gonna post. There we go. Oh. See, I was messing around with this. We have a post here. So the first block, I'm just going to look and see, is it there? It's there. Great. We have a block. That's pretty simple. We've got hello from the save content, hello from the editor. Okay, so we know it's working. And this block is a very simple block. It's a static block. So we've got our edit state down here. And we've got our save state over here. And it's fairly straightforward. I'm not going to get into like creating custom-made blocks, like building out specific blocks that do specific things. This is more about like the structure around how I would now take this and turn it into a multiple block situation. So yeah, so you can see that like in my mind, the plugin is multiple blocks. That's what it should be called. So that's the first thing that I'm going to do is come in here and rename my plugin multiple blocks. This has multiple blocks. There we go. Okay, so we're good there. That's the first thing that I'm going to do. I'm not going to bother with the README, but the README is kind of, you know what, I'm in there, I might as well do it. So we'll update the block, the first block here. If anyone has any questions about anything while I'm doing this, please just drop it in the chat, because I'm going too fast or not fast enough. You just let me know. We'll do that. Okay, so I'm just gonna in here, and it's probably the last I'll touch this. So we'll get rid of that. Okay, so this is good. Okay, so now if you've seen any of my other streams, you know that I like to put my blocks in a much different place. So the WordPress scripts package expects that the JavaScript is stored inside source, which is okay, but in our case, I don't want to just dump all my stuff inside of there. I like to keep things a little bit more organized, and I've sort of talked about this before. So because I come from sort of a back-ender point of view, I like to use an includes folder, and then I'm going to say this is an include for the block editor, because we're building it for the block editor, not for like full-site editing, not for widgets or navigation. I like to keep it organized in that sense, because this is a bit more expandable, where we can add other subsections. This may change, I don't know, we'll see. Right, and then we're going to do blocks. So blocks are going to go in here, and then I'm going to say block 1. Right, so I've just created that. Right, then these files all represent block 1. So I want to move. I'm going to move all of these into block 1. Yes, so we've got all our assets in there. So that's great. The only problem now is that this block.json, he didn't know if he was going to create multiple. Yeah, that's a pretty cool thing, Adam. It's super handy that way. I stumbled upon it because I forgot to hit enter one time. What's the tool that autocomplete has suggested the plugin name as you were typing it? The plugin name. I'm using GitHub Copilot, which is super fun. It does all kinds of cool things for you. So like, you know, if I wanted to do like const array equals map dot, and this isn't going to work because I don't have anything here, but yeah, see, so that, like, it's auto completing stuff that it thinks you can do. It gets really smart. Yeah, I would highly check it out. I highly recommend it. Check it out. It does kind of get in the way sometimes of like, I have, like, if I'm doing a function, for example, like, yeah, so there's times where if you're calling a function, if your editor is set up to auto close, like parentheses, it kind of gets in the way, but play around with it. Good times. Cool. All right, so block 1. Every block needs a block.json, right? So we need to move the block.json that was generated from the root of the directory into there. Yes, I'm going to move that. So yeah, so that means a couple of things. That means that this is no longer correct, because it wants to register a single block type. It's going to look in this directory, the root directory, for the definition file, the block.json. So we want to change that. So what I want to do is I'm going to create a blocks array. Right? And I'm going to do equals array. You might be wondering why I'm not using I'm using the short syntax. It's a WordPress coding standard thing. I prefer the shorthand, not the shorthand. I prefer the shorthand syntax, but this is a coding standard thing. We're going to give it a block name. I'm just going to say like this. I'm going to go block 1. Oops. Because that's the name of the block that we created, right? We're going to do that. And then I'm going to do a for each. You can see where I'm going with this. Blocks. See that? That was Copilot. See, blocks is block. Now this is completely not what I want, but it's thinking. And now I'm going to go, we're going to call So I'm going to call register block type, but then I need to pass the actual directory. So I'm going to say plugin directory, not URL. There we go. See, that helped me out. It got me kind of where I wanted to be. So I want the dir path, but I don't want. So this is a helper function that gets you to the plugins directory path to this particular file. But then on top of that, what I want to do is I want to go say, okay, so this will get me to the root, Now it needs to go into includes, block, edit. I want to try something here. We go includes, I go, oh no, it's not annoying. Block, editor, or oh my god, editor, blocks, right? And then I'm going to just do that. I'm going to pen the name of the block. Pen the name of the block. So this should now say, okay, go and find me the blocks for this particular block. Trailing slash there, right? And that should still register that block. So I'm just going to do a little refresh here. This should fail because the build isn't anymore. So, but I didn't get any errors. Let's look in the debug log. I'm going to open debug. Oh, I'm going to get rid of that. So to get this, you just need to add the WP scripts, or sorry, the WP debug constants in the WP config file, which I can show you in a second. So what do we got here? Register block. Okay, asset file for editor script. Okay, so this is a good sign. So this is telling me that it can't find the asset for the block anymore, because that makes sense because I've moved it. So far so good. But so this part is now going to be able to handle as many or as little blocks as we want. We just need to tell WordPress where it needs to be registered, like where it lives, right? So let's get back to block 1 here. So, these are now wrong. So the editor, well, first of all, I don't want to call this block that. I want to call this block first block. The name of the block I want it to be. So I'm going to do that. Okay. Second thing is this path is not correct. This path is actually going to be we're going to step out 1, 2, 3, and then 4 into build. So we got to go 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so this is now going to start looking for those files there. Right, so in here we've got the build, index, all this stuff. So hopefully, if I've pathed this correctly, maybe I didn't. Let's look. One way that I found, like when you're building this stuff, maybe that I'm importing my blocks by globbing for the block.json files, checking if file exists, and then running register block type for metadata. Maybe that's ill-advised. I don't think that's ill-advised. I think if you call register block type without a block.json, it won't do anything. It's not going to fail, I think. And you can call register block type for metadata is totally valid. It's sort of like the slightly older version of the API. You can now call register block type with the same parameters as register block type for metadata. Say these some keystrokes. It basically, but behind the scenes, it's checking to see if the first parameter is a path, and then if it is, it passes it to register block type from metadata. It's good. It's a good question. Okay, so content. Let's see, multiple blocks build. Okay, so it looks like it's loading stuff. Let's see. Well, why is this isn't working then? Let's get rid of this. Let's just see first. Oh, you know why? Because I changed the name of the block. Oh, okay. All right. So this is completely broken because I need to build it. Great. So like I said before, so now we've got our existing block into kind of a place where, it's organized now. I can't go. I was using. You were using that, Corey, because you had to use that in order to use the block.json. That's the function. That function was introduced at the same time that block.json became a thing, because register block type before just took name and then array of parameters, and register block type for metadata took path to block.json and array of parameters. That's why you were using that. It's not wrong in any way. In fact, the new version of register block type uses that behind the scenes. So all good. Pardon me. Okay, so like I said before, so the scripts package expects the JavaScript to be living in source. So if I just come in here, I'm just going to clear this, and I go first of all, I'm going to cd into my multiple blocks directory because I'm going to plug in. If I go npm run start, I don't know what it's going to do. It did nothing. It didn't build anything, didn't do anything, and the reason being, it doesn't know where to look. right? So what we can do to fix that, so the build's empty, see? So it says, I got no files to build, give me something to build. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put an index.js in here. And then I'm going to import the blocks, each block, right? Just by simply going and saying import, import. I'm gonna go, where am I here? I'm gonna come out. I'm gonna go to includes, block editor, blocks, and then block one. And yeah. And so what that should do, so that's gonna just pull the file in, right? And then if I cancel the build, run start, hopefully, there we go. So now we got some stuff being built. Okay. So if we look in our build, we've got this stuff again. So we've got our index, we've got our CSS, we got our assets, we got all this good stuff. Hopefully, if we come back, we update this. I'm just going to pull this out of the way. I'm going to do this cache and refresh the page, and we're going to say first. You know what? Why? Let's. Oh, I got a JavaScript error. Let's see what that's all. The block Twitch streams multiple blocks must have a title. Interesting. Let's see what that's all about. Okay. So we're looking here. Okay. You notice we've changed this stuff? Okay, so here's the first thing that you should change, in my opinion, if you're gonna start with the create blocks like the default template. Get in here, get into your index of the block, and then import your JSON file. Import JSON from block.json. Then you structure out the things that you want. So what we want is the name, and then I don't know if this is strictly necessary, but I like doing this. There. And so what this is going to do is I'm going to put this in here now. Because what happened was we were registering the block in JavaScript with a different name than is in the block.json, which kind of defeats the purpose. Block.json should be like your single source of truth for all data about this block. So by doing this, now if whatever we change the name to in block.json, we can change it to, you know, first block Ryan stinks, whatever. That's going to get moved everywhere. The PHP is going to register it with that name. Everything's going to register all the things everywhere by doing that. So that's why we were getting, it wasn't registering, it was doing weird things there. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to change this from capital edit to lowercase edit, and I'm going to get rid of this. It's just a personal thing that I prefer. So we're using object property shorthands here. So because the edit is the name of the property, you pass the single thing, it becomes the name of the property, but it also becomes the value of the property. So that's a nice way of doing this. And then the other thing we're going to do is we're going to use the spread operator to take the rest of the settings and spread it onto this object. And then we're going to overwrite anything in there with edit and save. So this is how, like, if you were to pass, you used to be able to pass, like, you know, title and description and attributes and supports and all that stuff in here as well. Now it's all maintained in here. So all that stuff just gets moved in. It's just nice and consistent. Okay, so let's see. So that looks like it built. I got a little error there, but that's not an error anymore. It's just because I can't type. And we're going to do a little refresh, reload. I don't see any errors here. So let's go first block. Okay. Uh-oh. What's that? Okay, so that's a thing. Let's look. I wonder if it's because we changed. This is why we need to change this. It's a bunch of manual work that we have to do here. So I'm just going to change the class names. Hopefully, if I update this now, I'm going to get rid of that. We refresh this and. There we go. So now we've got, it's looking back the way it's supposed to be looking. This looks totally the same. Cool. Cool. Okay, so that's that. So now at this point, we can do as many blocks as we want. We can add, so all we have to do now is come in here and literally copy this. We can go block 2, right? And then Now we're back into some manual work. So we'll call this, we'll go in here, we'll call it block 2. Description is second block. Clearly you'd want to give it real names, right? Second block, anything, I think. And then now that we've changed all this, because we're set up to just get it all, it's going to trickle down everywhere it needs to go. We have that. So the other thing that we can do now is we can just come in here. We can, this is shift option down, just copies your line. That's a VS Code thing. We do that, right? So we've done one copy and paste, and now I've updated a couple of things, and hopefully this will just work. Let's take a look. So we come in here and we'll go, oh, of course it didn't work. Why didn't it work? Let's find out. Block 2. Multiple blocks. Block 1. Block 2. Block.json. All right. Let's do some debugging here. Let's open up a console. Oh, there's an error in the console. Let's see. Block stream's first block is already registered. I wonder if, did I not? First 2. Okay. I call this second block. Second block. Is that what we call the first block? Oh, we got the first block. Okay. Block 2. The build happened. Okay. I think that's right. Let's try this again. Weird. Okay. Do a little refresh. Okay, so no errors that time. That might have just, let's see, second. Okay. Well, hold on. Let's look in here. Maybe did I name it wrong? First. No, I didn't name it. Okay. I don't know why this isn't working, but we're gonna figure it out. Okay, so we know that block 1, block 2 work. Block 1, block 2, block that. There's got to be something really simple I'm doing here. So names, second block. Description is blocks multiple. Have you added? Oh, you from Zaber? You win all the props. That's exactly what the problem was. You're the best. Welcome to the stream. Fantastic. I think that's exactly what the problem was. Let's take a look here. Okay. Second. Oh, look at that. Oh, right. Oh, right. Because we have to update. So it's not first block anymore. It's second block. We do that. Props. Hey Rich, how's it going? Okay, second block, great, awesome. Okay, so like you can see that this is kind of turning into a super duper manual process, and it is until we have a why didn't that work? Second block. Weird. Let's see what the actual class name is. Anyways, I'm rambling. Until we have second block, yeah. All right. Oh, second block. Okay. So now this is working. Now there's a problem here, and it's a subtle problem, and it depends on if you need it or not. So the problem is that we have a single entry point, right? So we have as many blocks as we want. We can keep doing this. We can keep copying and pasting blocks into our block directory. We can keep adding it to index.js and adding it to our arrays and stuff like this. But the issue that we're going to run into is that we only ever get a single index. Now it's not necessarily always a problem, but what's happening here If you look, well, it's working, so it should be working. But what could potentially happen here is let's say you had a situation where you wanted to maybe filter away some blocks, and that's a possibility. You might have a plugin that introduces a whole suite of blocks, and then you want to be able to add a filter and say, I don't, and give someone somewhere the ability to like you could just do like an apply filters, right? And I've done this on some things, right? And we call it, blocks or whatever. We'll give it a name, whatever name. Right? And we want to be able to filter those away. I'm going to spell that right. So with what we're doing right now, you could add a filter here, and you could filter away block 2, say, for example. And it wouldn't register it on the server, but because our index file is a single entry point, it's going to bundle the JavaScript for it anyways, which may or may not be an issue, but you've got like it registered on the sort of the client side, but not the server side, and then hilarity ensues. There's like some weirdness going on there. So what I prefer to do, and maybe it's more just because I'm a bit OCD about it, but is that I like to have an entry point for each block. So you can do that in a few different ways. We did this in the last stream where we went in here and we did an entry point, and we took the whole path to wherever it is to here, right? And then so that's one entry point there. So index.js, .js, right? And that stuff, and you can keep doing that and doing that and doing that and doing that. It's a bit, you have to come and update this, and then when you do the build, you have to update the build as well, which isn't the greatest. What I like to do is I like to create a custom. I still want to use scripts. I still want to use the WordPress scripts package. It does a ton of fun things for me. I just want to customize one thing in it. I want to customize the entry points. We can do that pretty straightforward. If you look at the scripts package, this is just the npm.js.com version, but the docs are the same as they are in the repo. Just scroll all the way down to the bottom. I think it's all the way down to the bottom. There's this sort of like extending the webpack config, and so this is what we're going to do. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to create a file in the root called webpack.config.js. What we want to pull is we want to get the default configuration that ships with WordPress scripts, right? And then we just want to, we're going to do a module.exports, right? And what we want to do is we're going to do that. And so this is going to say, just give me all the config, all the regular old config that comes with scripts. So if we just did this, this would function exactly the same way as it does now. There's no change. But what we want to do is we want to customize the entry, right? And so we're gonna not this dot entry. Okay, and we're gonna do an object of entry points. Now we can give it a name, block 1, then we'll give it a path, right? I've got it here somewhere, so we can just take a look at it, right? So we give it the block name, and we're just gonna drop it here, and then blocks, and be the name of the block, so block 1, right? So this is going to look in there, and it's going to get the index file, and it's going to build it out. And then I'm going to do a second one for block 2. Right? We'll do this block 2. There's probably a more efficient way of doing this. If you know of it, let me know. Sorry, what was that? Okay. All right, so in here, I'm going to cancel my build process. I'm just running the npm start, like I'm running the start script, which is kind of like a watch. I'm just going to run the same one again. I'm going to npm start, and then hopefully now it should. So let's see. So we've got 2 entry points now registered. We got block 1 and we've got block 2. So when we look in the build file or the build directory now, I don't know what. Yeah. If we look in the build, there's a ton more files in there, but check it out. But we've got block1.asset, block1.css, block1.js, and so on, and block 2, and so on and so forth. So now we've sort of split this out. These things are completely independent of each other. which I think is a really slick way of doing it. Now, that does mean that we have to come back and update some things. First of all, it means we can just delete this now. We don't need this directory at all anymore, right? So our directory is a little bit cleaner. So we come into block 1. So we need to change the name of these files now that we've done this. So it's just basically block 1 dot whatever at this point. So block 1. Do that, block 1, right? And then we have to do the same with block 2, block 2, block 2, and so forth. So hopefully, got the build running. Should be able to come back to our thing here. Hopefully, we've done this right. Oh, I know why that is. We've done this right. We'll get the white screen of death. Beautiful. This is why. Oh, what have I done? Just gonna do this. We're gonna do this, and I think that's gonna not be a problem. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so now we've got the 2 blocks. They're still registered. Everything, first block. Oh wait, no, first block. And then we got second block. So they're all there. They're all registered now. We can. Now adding blocks there's still a bit of a manual process. If you want to add another block in here, you can just copy this. We did before. We called block 3. Caps lock on block 3. We'll just have to come in here and now call third block. Like a lot of this work you're gonna have to do anyways because you're gonna need customization for the for this block. Like you're definitely gonna have to go into the edit and the save and all that stuff, right? Unless you had some sort of command or some kind of tool that can automate some of this for you, you're still gonna have to do a fair amount of this. So, and then the only other thing now we have to do, we have to come in here. Right, block 3, and then in our webpack config, we can just, you can probably do something similar here where you have an object that maps and all that stuff. I'm just being a little bit more verbose here. Let's do this, and it's a third block, right? So let's build, think you need to start and stop your build commands every time you add a new item to the entry point. So now we got 3. Let's look in here. We've got 3 entry points. Let's look right in here. Let's refresh this, and I go third block. So now we got third block, and then that's it. That's fairly straightforward. So we've got this kind of working. Does this all kind of make sense at this point? I think got files I haven't saved yet. Where are they? What's this thing? Okay, so let's do that. Does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns at this point? Because that's kind of what I wanted to cover. I do have one more thing that I wanted to kind of throw out there. Yeah. Let's see. Cool. All right. Silence is golden. So, okay, cool. So we've got this multiple blocks thing now. What I did was I took this thing and I created my own template for it. So there is a template. I might have to clean it up a little bit, but it is available here on NPM. I'll paste it into the chat here if anyone wants to go take a look. There's a repository associated with it. You can go and have a look at that. It's still pretty rough. I built it yesterday, but I'm gonna try it out live and see if it actually does what it's supposed to do. So to do that, we're gonna jump back over here. I'm just gonna clear this out. I'm just gonna CD up a level to the plugins directory, and I'm going to run npx, right? And I've already got it in my memory here. So what I'm doing is I'm calling npx WordPress create block. I'm gonna tell it the template that I want to use, and then the template that I want to use is the template that I just linked to. See if I can get that a little easier to read. I don't think. Anyways, so you know what? I'm gonna do this manually. Oh my gosh, what am I doing here, Claire? So we're gonna run. We're gonna go npx create WordPress / create block. The template is the name of the template that I just did. It doesn't end in clear. So if I run this, it's going to try to download it. It's going to run all through the create block stuff. And there we're going to download. Okay, so it's going to ask me name. I'm going to say multiple custom template so we can see it different. And I'm going to give it the same Twitch themes, and then play title for your block, whatever. I'm just going to jump through the rest of the stuff. And that's going to do its thing. So the couple of things I did notice about this is that because this package currently doesn't really have a concept of the plugin and the blocks being sort of separate entities, you will see that like the slug that you used gets used in some places that you wouldn't expect, in the sense of like, I want my plugin to be called multiple custom templates in this case, but you know, the name of the plugin is actually something like the block name is actually that as well. So it's a little bit confusing. So this is a good starting point. Hopefully, if it works, and then it should then you can just kind of copy and paste and update things as you yeah. So we're gonna work through this here. Yeah, just gonna have a sip of coffee. You guys can watch. Oh, Rich, if you're still around, I absolutely loved your presentation at Work US. So you know, now I have to re-examine how I do presentations. Thanks for that. Great. Okay, so this built didn't get any errors. That's how I judge my engineering prowess, is if I don't get errors. Not that it works. It's just okay. Cool. So now we've got basically the same sort of thing that we had going on before. So we've got our webpack.js. So it's created a entry point for us. So this is the kind of stuff that I was talking about. So when you give the plugin a name, when you give your block a name, it names the plugin that, but it also names the first block that. So if you want it called that, you can. But you can come in and mess with this stuff. Package.json is a bit more stripped down. It's just got the scripts, multiple custom template. It's got the array stuff that we were doing. Again, the name of the block is the same name as the plugin. Block.json. So the block.json, this one is actually generated by the create block script itself. I didn't add this to my template. It gets automatically generated. The reason, yeah, and so we don't technically need this. I put a git ignore in just because that's a good thing, and I've also put in some linting, which is really good because your IDEs can pick up on that stuff. And this is the same editor config that came with the original one, but our actual blocks are sitting in sort of the same directory structure where it includes block, editor, block, and then name of your block down here, stuff. And you can see we actually have, so this is the block.json that's actually going to be used. And it's got our build and everything all handled it. So you can see, so this will get you going. And then you can actually just delete this. And then you have to, can you put your, yes, I will do that. Sorry, Adam, I have not updated the README. I'll drop it in here as well. I'm just gonna, does anyone know how to actually copy these things? I think I can just highlight it. There we go. Copy. There we go. I'll drop it here as well. So that is the command that I ran in there. But I will update the README after this. I'll also update the README with a bit of explanation as to why certain things are in certain places. So hopefully that's helpful. I was thinking about either, and maybe this is something that, you know, if you're watching and you have an opinion on this, I'd love to hear. I was debating about doing another custom template where you would call it from inside, say, the includes folder, or from inside blocks, and would we go with something more dynamic? What's this we're talking about? Yeah, you can do anything you want in there. I just did that because it was nice and easy. Like we don't need to mess with the output unless you want to change the output of it. But yeah, you could do something like that, however you wanted to. That's not a bad idea. It saves one step. So thanks for that suggestion. Like I said, there is a repo for this. If you're interested in putting a pull request together on it, that I would greatly appreciate that and appreciate that. This is it here. It's a pretty pretty empty repo at the moment, but yeah, I mean, I'm certainly not a Webpack expert, but if we could do that, cool. That's a great suggestion. I forget what I was saying. Oh yeah. Anyways, so I was debating on either doing something like a node script, like a script that would scaffold out some files for you, or use another template. But you'd have to, the thing about the template is you'd have to call it from a specific location inside of this template, because to my knowledge, there's no way of like saying I want to call this template, but I want to call create block with this template, but I want it to target this path, or I want it to go in this location. I don't know if you can do that. I think wherever you call it is where it gets sort of built out. So if anyone has any opinions on that, I'd love to hear them. But yeah, I don't, that was kind of it. It's kind of a short stream today. I guess it's only about an hour, but, that was kind of all I wanted to cover. Did anyone have anything they saw that they want me to sort of like expand on, or ideas? Tell me I don't know what the heck I'm doing. That's fine too. If not, be it for the day. Like I said, I've got, this has got it here. So, oh, you know what? So if you go into the issues of the stream account, or sorry, the stream repository that I've been doing this on, I have, if you want to see anything on this stream, anything in particular, if you have questions about something you did see, or you want to tell me that my Webpack skills suck and this is how I should do it, I'm more than welcome you to come and drop an issue. They're not issues in the sense of issues. They can be tagged as questions. They can be tagged as topic requests. They can be tagged as whatever. So there's a few labels in there. I am going to try to take topics that have been suggested as opposed to me coming up with them, because I think that you all have a better, you have your finger on the pulse of what needs to be done and what people really are wanting to see. I know some things that I'd like to share, but I'd like to really kind of hear what you have to say. So yeah, so please feel free to jump in here and add some stuff. I think I linked it in here. It's linked on the sort of like my description of my Twitch channel, so you should be able to link to it from there. I also have all of these streams get uploaded to YouTube, because until I get something like 50 followers, I think they get deleted after 16 days or something. So I've been exporting them and putting them on the YouTube channel, which is also linked in this Twitch stream somewhere. So anyhow, thanks for coming. That's about it for me, and I guess we'll see you next week. I'm gonna try to stream every Thursday at 10:30 Eastern, and we'll see how that goes. Awesome. Thanks all. Talk to you soon.